My dad. Sometimes my dad comes you know. So, um, but I should have told him to get some ketchup. Hopefully he gets ketchup. Um, me. Okay, but fucking couch. Mm, mm. And another reason I'm making these is because, in my opinion, you have shown a history of only giving the side of details and information that make me look bad. Um, I think there have been times where you did own up to your mistake, and I'm very grateful of those times, and I'm very proud of you. And you should be proud of yourself because that in those moments you were showing growth. It takes a diagnosis, right, to realize the problem, to begin to treat the problem. So even you realizing the mistake was a sign that you could at least see. And that's what always gave me hope in you. Please don't be my neighbors in their kitchen. It's my neighbors in their kitchen. I have no business. Oh, is that a TV? It may be a TV, actually. I think it's a TV. I'm just way too nosy. Way too nosy. I just love humans, man. I love this earth. I love all of it. Like every little detail. The kids running, the girls coming looking for the boys, the neighbors turning on their porch lights, watching TV in their houses, people working on their gardens. Today I saw kids like swinging on like this little wooden swing, and I hadn't seen one of those in so long, like just rope and a piece of wood from a tree. And just to see them like laughing and playing, it was just so beautiful. Oh, fucking love it. And I don't know. I feel like maybe you miss out on stuff like that because you're too busy just always thinking of maybe the next get up or the next like, you know, check on your scorecard. And like I said, I just want you to be able to enjoy the little things and details of life because when you're older, and what I've found from a lot of old people is that that's what they regret not taking enough advantage of. And once again, I never wanted that for you. And so I oh my god, it's my neighbors in their house. I can see their shadows. It looks like off Home Alone. Imagine if like that man just starts like whacking his fucking family and I see it like as a shadow. That'd be crazy. There's movies like that. So let me stop looking at the window. You know, like in those horror movies where like it shows the window and then you just see like blood splatter go across the fucking window. I think that's my like part of my OCD. I always think I'm gonna see something bad like at the wrong time. And so I just try not to like look too much at one thing for too long. Unless it's the sunset. The sunset will never let you down. Or sunrise. Or the stars. But humans, animals, you can look at them and you never know what the fuck you're gonna see. Today, well, never mind. Never mind. Never mind. That poor lady. Um, But the reason I make these is because, like I said, I don't want you to tell it as if you know it and to think that what you're doing is excusable because it's not. And I don't think you're ever going to get better if you think that you had no faults. If I would have never sat and thought about my faults and how they hurt you, I would have just brushed your feelings aside. And that's what I did at first, you know? I was like, well, I grew up in an era where people would just text you whenever and they didn't even have to have your number from you. And that's true. Like, I grew up in the era of like these little phones that you slide up or, you know, flip phones and chain mails. And if you don't send this to 10 other people and all that shit. And it would be people that you didn't even know. And you'd be like, who is this? And I think one summer, that's how I got some of the best advice that changed me. Is it was a random chain mail that was like, hey, can't wait to see you guys back at school next year. And I was like, who is this? And the girl goes, oh, this is Maddie. And I was just like, Maddie? She was like, yeah, Madison. And I was just like Madison P from school. And I was just shocked. We didn't run in the same circle. And I was just like, how the fuck did you get my number? And so it made me think of who in my circle knows someone in her circle who that now that this chainmail has brought us here, I would have never thought that she'd be texting my phone. And I thought it was very like cool the way, you know, it connects people and stuff. And so I grew up in that era. And so it was very normal, or it was very normal to say, hey, I asked such and such for your number and they gave it to me. All of it was very normal, you know, to just text or call somebody. Um, so I saw it a different way. But I had to sit back and say, well, this really hurt this person and there must be a reason why. And whether I understand that reason or not, I can only respect that they asked me not to do this and that what I did hurt them. And all I can do is apologize, which I apologized to you, I think, twice, and not do it again and not hurt you like that again. And I changed my behavior and I never tried to hurt you again. Um, so in moments like that, I think, like I said, saying my piece is what can help me get closure. Because as far as you know, you think you're out there doing what's right, you know? And I, since I do want the best for you and I do want you to grow and learn and become this great man that I envision you to be. And when I say envision, I'm speaking as literally one of my visions, right? Because the vision has actually never changed. You always have the potential to be this great man. But I always saw that this great man with this great mind, which always was a crown, um, the crown was always very loose on your head. And so to me, that represented that he's not stable in his position as this great man because he is, you know, battling so many other negative desires or emotions. Hold on, hold on. Don't say anything. I'm recording. Where are you going? You going somewhere? Um, but I it worried me, and that's why I always was trying to stray you from what I felt inside of you and what I saw in my vision, because I didn't want, that crown to fall. And I didn't want you to miss out on your potential. And I think the greatness you can add to the world if you choose to. You obviously are a very dedicated young man. You obviously are a very smart young man. And so now, if you just take that dedication and those smarts and put it towards positivity, imagine the amazing change you can make in the world. And if you don't want to go around being a philanthropist, I'm not saying that, but imagine the change you can make just within your own life or the lives of the people around you, with better habits and a better outlook. And I think if we don't confront the people we love about their faults and the um the negative effects of their actions, we aren't doing if we don't even at least attempt to, then we're not really trying to protect them. We're not really trying to protect ourselves. We're not really trying to build anything stable. And so I guess it's more so of a sense of duty is the type of person I am. Honor, duty, and just all this other stuff. And so that's why I tell you these things and I try to, show you these things and have these talks and moments with you um before all of this, went down. But of course, once again, you see me as bitching or nagging or, oh my God, this bitch is fucking crazy. Like, she thinks she knows what's going to happen tomorrow. And most of the time, once again, I'm fucking right. So it really does hurt when you don't take my spirituality into consideration, considering the fact it has proven itself time and time again. And so at that point, I think if I'm constantly telling you the visions, they're constantly coming to pass, I can't make it any clearer for you. And so it has to be something you choose to see it, because at that point you're choosing not to see it. It's not that it's not there. It's not that the consistencies aren't coming. It's that you just refuse to give credit to them. And so once again, that means I'm fighting a losing battle. And I, as someone who loves myself, has to stop the suffering when I can. And so the peace and closure was in not letting you think you got away with, oh, she could never make up her mind. So that's why I slept around on her. That's why I, hurt her even more and proved her right that she couldn't trust me. And that's why I continue to sleep around. That's not what's happening. She was grieving, she was healing, she was processing, and her reactions were very natural and made a lot of sense as someone who wanted to end her own pain with this person, but at the same time loved much that she didn't want to hurt them and leave them to their own devices, because she knew that they don't make good decisions for themselves and know how to choose what's best for them, and that they are so sometimes stuck in their ways that they refuse to see patterns and truths when they present themselves to them. Um, and that's where that was coming from. And like I said, now, right now, sitting here in this moment, the mindset I'm in is if you still can't see that and see where I was coming from with all of that, then once again, you still have not put yourself in my shoes enough to understand I have the right to feel this way. I have the right to um, react the way I have, and that it was not inconsistent on my word. It's very much my character to care about, like I said, injustice and wrongdoings. I've shown that the entire time. And it's very much my character to worry about honor and, like I said, duty and compassion. and morals, and that hasn't swayed. It's very much my character to sometimes make a fool of myself, but then just keep trying. And that's actually also very humane. And so you still don't honor my experience as an individual. And so I have every right to not feel like I want to sit down and have a conversation with someone who still can't see me. Because if I'm healing and that person has yet to do so, or yet to even try to do so, it seems, because they refuse to, once again, take the necessary steps to put themselves in my shoes, then to me, it would mean I have now either healed or have been healing either for months, years, days, whenever that conversation would have happened, to now come face to face, stop that process, to now come face to face with someone still who doesn't understand. And that's not what I want. That's not what I think I deserve to give myself for my future. And I have every right to feel this. And I think if you put yourself in my shoes, or once again, if you listen to this from the perspective of your daughter telling a man this, I would hope that you understand, especially because you worried so much about how I would raise children. And I would at least want to raise children with a man who can protect my daughter and know when she has the right to leave a man, knows when she has the right to love a man, and how so, and what he should and should not put her through, and signs of if he loves her back. And if any young man was doing to me and had done, or if any young man did to her what you have done to me, I would hope that that person or that man or you or whoever I would have had children with would realize that he's wrong and she deserves to try to move on with her life if he can't see from her perspective. And the fact that you still don't understand that is why I feel like I still wouldn't be able to build with you, because once again, hold on, I'm still recording. Did you run? Thank you. um, so yeah, I think it would worry me to raise children, especially a daughter with a man like that, because if something ever happened to me, I would wonder if he'd be able to protect her from men like him. And if not, it's because he thinks that those men are right. And that means I would risk leaving my daughter in the hands of a man like that. And so I have every right to not want to put myself in the predicament of building a life with someone, or thinking of building a life with someone who won't be able to protect my baby and my girl, if I were ever to have to leave her, because he wasn't a good man. And so he doesn't think there's anything wrong with horrible men. And if you feel that I'm wrong and you, say, oh, well, I wouldn't do that to my daughter, but you expect my dad to be okay with his daughter doing that to herself, then you're a hypocrite. And I've called you that multiple times. And if you see the fault and failings of another man, then you should be able to see them in yourself. And so, no, you sleeping around and, oh, I'm out here, I'm outside and all this shit because this bitch can't figure it out is still, in my opinion, very wrong. And I've just explained to you why. And since it's been 2 years and I've, tried so many different ways and healing, and I actually started to see progress, I don't feel like it'd be a good idea to put myself back in a sit down or a position to come face to face with the man who did these things to me if he is showing by the way he's acting that he still does not see me. And so if I'm going to continue to heal and make progress past what happened, then that means if someone is not willing to grow with you, you do have to let them go. And I've explained to you how I'm growing and how I'm trying, but you just keep making the same mistake. And so now what am I left to do? Yeah, right? And so I think this is where the closure comes because I now have to decide. Like, I can't fucking lose my job because I'm fucking stinking up the place and I'm tripping over everything. Like, I work with food. So, and I work with people. I can't be fucking handing people their food and leaning over and smelling like a bag of assholes, And, or I'm sweating up the place and, there's onions here and now there's onions dangling from my armpits and shit. And it's just not a good idea. And I can't risk the progress I'm making for a man who has still yet to see me and fully in who I am. I would I would just be asking for cycles and devastation. And once again, if this was our daughter, I think and I hope you would understand that she's making the right decision. And if you understand that she's making the right decision, you should be able to understand that I'm making the right decision and that once again your actions are inexcusable. My dad's home. I think that was about it. Yeah. But I'm glad I did take all day to say to make sure I said everything. And I'm glad I took time to rest on it and everything. So now it can all just come out at the same time. Ooh, hold on.